2. John Locke. John Locke, 1632 to 1704, in an essay concerning human understanding, laid down the basic principles of the Enlightenment which dominated philosophy through Kant's Critique of Pure Reason, which in turn has dominated philosophy ever since. Locke indeed has been called the father of the Enlightenment, and the facts of his personal piety cannot alter the implications of his philosophical premises. Cushman's comment is to the point. The essay differs from any previous modern philosophical writing. Man, and not the universe, is the subject. For the first time we find an examination of the laws of mind, and not of the laws of the universe. Man was now the centre of things, but Locke's free man emerged as a greatly reduced man. What appeared at first to men as a new Bible and a new hope for man soon came to be a startling problem as man and man's knowledge began to show signs of following God into the limbo of oblivion created by the Enlightenment. To return to Locke, the mind of man rather than the mind of God was now the key to the universe. A few years earlier in England, the Westminster Confession had begun with the Scriptures, God's Word, and the eternal decree, God's plan, as the key to all things. The Confession had been approved in 1647 by the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland and ratified by Act of Parliament in 1649. By 1690, a new document, Locke's Essay, had come into existence as a kind of new confession and standard for Enlightenment man. In Book 1, Chapter 1 of An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, titled Neither Principles nor Ideas Are in It, Locke denied that either the first principles of knowledge and science are innate or any other speculative maxims. The same is true of religious principles and moral rules. They are acquired, not innate ideas. Conscience is no proof of any innate moral idea or rule. Men come to moral rules by experience and reason, or by their education, company, and customs of their country, which persuasion, however got, will serve to set conscience at work, which is nothing else but our own opinion or judgment of the moral rectitude or pravity of our own actions. And if conscience be a proof of innate principles, contraries may be innate principles, since some men with the same bent of conscience prosecute what others avoid. The idea of God is not innate either, and is absent in many cultures, Locke stated. If the idea of God is not innate, then how can any idea be innate? Ideas, Locke held, are not a given factor, not innate to the mind, but rather a product of the mind and its thinking. He used his famous image, original probably with Aquinas, who used it before him by implication, of the mind as a white paper void of all characters, without any ideas, deriving its materials of reason and knowledge from experience, in that all our knowledge is founded, and from that it ultimately derives itself. The two fountains of knowledge are thus sensations and reflections, that is, our sensory experiences and our thinking about them. Some French followers of Locke reduced knowledge to sensations and the mind to a radical passivity. Those who defend Locke against the charge of passivity ascribe it to the French misinterpretations. Locke held to the power of the mind to reflect and to operate on its experience or sensations. This explanation does not absolve Locke's doctrine from the charge of passivity. The mind reacts rather than acts. Ideas are reflex phenomena, and Locke's very word is reflection. Locke plainly stated that the mind thinks in proportion to the matter it gets from experience to think about. I conceive that ideas in the understanding are coeval with sensation, which is such an impression or motion made in some part of the body as produces some perception in the understanding. Locke's universe was thus one of the individual minds without innate ideas, all receiving impressions or sensations and then reflecting on them, a world in which the particulars are primary and central. Not surprisingly, great attention was therefore paid to the liberty of the particular or the individual, and one of Locke's most notable works was his A Letter Concerning Toleration, followed by the second and third letter concerning toleration. But Locke's world is not Hume's universe. Locke still assumed God as the one who gives unity and order to the world of sensations, so that Locke posited a one as counterbalance to his many. God is simply assumed by Locke as creator. The beginnings of deism are clearly apparent. A unified world of experience requires a creator whose basic function is to ensure the validity of experience. This judgment is somewhat unfair to Locke's personal faith and intentions, perhaps, but it is just to the practical outcome. Since Locke's concern is man, he is thus interested in man's happiness. What is it moves desire? I answer happiness, and that alone. Locke's man is thus implicitly good or wise in that he desires pleasure, not pain. Man the sinner, masochistic and sadistic, is not in Locke's world at this point or at any time. Locke's man is rational and sensible, even in egoism. The egoism of men, the particulars, thus produces the welfare of the whole, or the one, society. The foundations of laissez-faire were thus established. The necessity of pursuing true happiness is the foundation of liberty, as therefore the highest perfection of intellectual nature lies in a careful and constant pursuit of true and solid happiness, so the care of ourselves, that we mistake not imaginary for real happiness, is the necessary foundation of our liberty. Thus, we have a correlation between the true happiness and the true liberty of man in terms of the egoism of man. In his own way, Locke was affirming the same doctrine as Leibniz, despite their real differences: pre-established harmony. Leibniz objected to a hint of dualism in Locke, but they were together in assuming pre-established harmony. Briefly to summarize Locke's thinking in relation to the problem of the one and the many. First, for Locke, the particulars, the many, are prior, and these particulars are men. Second, in spite of their priority, these particulars are passive in their reaction to the natural world and the sensations derived from it. Book 4 of the essay, Of Knowledge and Probability, makes this quite clear. The mind, Locke said, is like a dark room, and sensory experiences are like windows letting light into that dark room from the natural world. Third, Locke posited a unified world of nature created by God, as formally required by his philosophy to make experience, and hence the ideas produced by experience, valid. The one was thus a formal but necessary addition to a system. Fourth, Locke's priority of the many made for a philosophy of individualism or modern liberalism, but fifth, because his individual is passive, a determining agency creating experience was necessary, and this the state, the enlightened despots of the age of reason, provided. The state became the immanent one, and liberalism moved from individualism by revolting against old authorities to statism by requiring a new one, the immanent unity of the state.